Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Thursday. I'm Leslie Watkins. I have a really fun project today, and I'm going to be using the painted and stamped pieces that I made yesterday. I went ahead and I cut them out with the corresponding dies. So this is the Fruitful Blessings bundle, and the dies have a couple of standalone dies that do not appear in the stamp set. You have these ears of corn. You've got a two-step die here to add added dimension, and you've got several little clusters of these really pretty leaves that add veining to the leaf, so they have added texture. And then you have these other dies that cut out the corresponding shapes in the set. So I've already done that. I've already done my die cutting, so you didn't have to watch me do that today, because I've got a lot of other things to show you. And then the other set that I'm using is the Tricks and Treats die set. And I'm not going to be using the stamps today, though these would work beautifully for a Halloween treat bag. But what I'm really interested in is the treat bag, and it comes with these added little gizmos that cut out holes so that you can run some ribbon as a handle, and they come in two different sizes. I'm using the smaller size today. So I went ahead and I cut out this big die. I'll show you what that looks like. So here it is. So this die cuts out half the treat bag. So you want to make two passes so that you have two separate pieces. And you could use that on cardstock, as I'm doing today, or you could use it on some kind of a beautiful decorative DSP, which I will be showing you in not too long. But for today, we're just going to keep it simple so I can show you how to assemble the treat bag. And then I also use this little tag. It comes with this adorable little tag die, and that looks like that. All right, and it's big enough to accommodate this eek for your Halloween bag. So very cute. All right, so what do I have on hand here? Let me show you. I have the copper clay ink. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. That might be too much, so let's, there. Okay, so I've got copper clay, and I've got wild wheat, and I'm going to need some sponges. So I'm going to go into my sponge box and find ones that will approximate those colors. So that looks like it'll work for that. And then I also have some of my linen thread. We're going to be using some of that in a little while. And I've got a hole puncher, and this is a small one. This is, I believe it's 1/8 of an inch, so it's smaller than the 1/4 inch. And the reason why I chose that one is because I'm going to be using the jute color trim. So these are the in colors, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but there's the wild wheat and the copper clay. And this, by the way, comes in a pack of 5. So if you like the new in colors, and I love them, I'm going to be using them quite a lot, then this little package is very nice to have, because you get all 5 in the set. Okay, so this is really fairly simple. I'm going to begin by decorating the outside of my treat bag. And by the way, I forgot to tell you that you also have an added die to make a zigzag edging on your bag. I'm not going to use that on my autumn treat bag, but it would be really nice, I think, on the Halloween treat bag. I've gone ahead and I've cut out 2 pieces of the distressed gold paper because I wanted to dress this up a little bit. And I'm just going to put those on the front panels. I'm going to be offering a free class using these items, and you can get that class by placing an order of $35 or more, and I will have information about that in notes from Dandelion Cottage. And so if you're not already on the list to receive notes, you're going to want to hop on that list, and I'll tell you all about the class that I have coming up using these things. And it's going to be 3 different holidays, so you're going to get Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas treat bags. So 3 different designs, 2 of each in the card kit, all the pieces cut out and ready to go for you, except for the pieces that require special die cutting in the bundles. So those you will have to, you may be interested in getting the bundle to be able to cut those out, or you can fussy cut them if you prefer. So you have a choice there. Okay, so there is my gold, and I'm going to give that a little burnish, make sure that lays nice and flat. And let me just check my settings, make sure we're broadcasting. And yes, that looks good. And I see a bunch of people. Hi, Kelly. Hey, Ginger. Ginger loved how yesterday's paintings turned out. Well, thank you so much, Ginger. We're going to be using them in a minute. And Beverly, hi. And yeah, Beverly liked the paintings also. And Sandra from California says that it finally cooled down. She's down into the 80s. Well, Sandra, we had a very cool, damp, rainy day here the other day, and I actually lit a fire. So inside the house is still pretty warm, although today is another one of those absolutely stunning New England fall days with the trees starting to turn, the blue sky, the sun, and the perfect temperature. So it's pretty, my kind of day. All right, so there are the panels, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold so the die cut that cuts out these treat bags also sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of embosses? Is embossing the word? It provides score lines for you to be able to fold these flaps on. So you want to fold those down. Get the tab. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and burnish those scores so I have a nice, clean, crisp edge. And if you're looking for the link to get onto the list for notes, you can go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and find it there. Or you can also wait until the end of the video, and I'll be posting it in the description so that you'll be able to sign up to get all the information about this class coming right up. All right, now I'm going to use my tear tape on this little flap on the side here. Remove that little bit. I don't want to tear the flap, so I'll just snip it. And you could use your liquid glue for this as well. I just think that by putting the tear and tape on one flap, it's going to help to hold all the other sides while the glue is setting up. Give that a good burnish. My bone folder. I'm just going to peel off that extra bit. Like so. And now I'm going to match this up. So I want to make sure I get my top edge even, and I'm just following that fold there. Let me zoom you in a little more so you can see better. So you see I've lined it up here and there. Give that a press. I'm going to flip it over and like so. And then I'm just going to fold this over, and that's going to ensure that everything is lined up perfectly. Okay, so that's going to give you a shape like this. And now all we have to do is the bottom of the box. And so for that, I'm going to get my glue. Add my glue to the smaller side flaps, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sandwich those in between. I'm going to hold that for a minute, let that grab, and then I'm going to add some glue on this outside flap. Okay, and I'm just going to fold that over like so. Okay, now I see that those little flaps are showing, and that's kind of bugging me. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to snip those. If you put the little flaps down first, I'm so used to making boxes that I like to tuck things in to make a really secure box that doesn't have a lot of layers showing, but you can avoid what I'm doing right now if you put those little flaps in first and just worry about gluing the longer ones. So there we go. Move that glue. Alright, so now once you have those pieces in place, just right your box, take your bone folder, and give that a burnish from the top. And that'll make sure that all of those flaps are going to hold strong, because you want to be able to have a nice sturdy treat bag to hold all the treats that you're going to put inside there. And you know, this is actually a very generous size. It could fit a lot of different things. So it's pretty much the size of a deck of cards. All right, so that looks like it's glued down pretty well. Got a little bit of glue there, but I can remove that with my glue eraser. Once that's dry, I can go back in and clean that up. Okay, so next, give that one more quick burnish, make sure that I get all the corners. All right, now what I would like to do is, I think I want to have a contrasting twine on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to thread this through from the inside, like so. I'm going to come back through this one. I'll make sure I get all the strands. Let me cut that to give it an even edge. And then I'm going to go directly across to the opposite hole. Back this way. And now I'm going to make an adjustment to see how long I want my handles to be. So I'm going to hold that end so I don't lose it. I'm keeping my twine on the spool so I can get this just the way I'd like it. So that looks pretty good on that side. And then this one looks pretty good too. And then I'm going to snip it, but I'm going to give myself a little bit extra so that I can tie a knot. Get my ends together. There we go. And there's my little treat bag. So how cute is that? That's adorable. All right, and if you wanted to, you could bend in these sides. You could put a score here so that it will close all the way, but I'm not going to do that right now. But if you wanted to have, if you had, for instance, if you had something in your treat bag that you didn't want to fall out, or if you were traveling with your treat bags to bring to a dinner or whatever, then you might want to tuck those in just to make sure that the contents are in there snugly. Now we're going to decorate. So what I did and what I recommend is that you laminate your die cuts. So here's the little pairs that I painted yesterday, and I've gone ahead and I've cut out a corresponding piece of cardstock. And this cardstock is copper clay. That's the color I picked, but really any of the in colors would look fabulous. I almost used the wild wheat, but I felt that the paintings really popped on the copper clay, so I went with the copper clay. So just stick those together with your glue, get them evened up, and now you've got a nice sturdy little embellishment to hang from your gift bag. Now, in the case of the distressed gold, I used the leaf shape to cut out the leaf sprig from the distressed gold paper. And the distressed gold paper is very fine. It's a very fine metallic paper. So it's especially important, I think, that you use the laminating for that. If you're going to lay it down and glue it flat to a surface, then that's fine. But I wanted these to have a little more strength, and actually it wouldn't hurt to double those up if you wanted to make a triple layer. So here's another of Let's pick this one. And don't forget that these ink paintings were done on the Fluid 100 paper, which is also very nice and sturdy. So these little paintings that you've done are going to be protected by having that, where'd my tweezer go? They're going to be protected by having all that extra layers of cardstock and thick Fluid 100 so that they're not going to get bent or banged up. So there we go. So I have gone ahead and I've actually layered up a whole bunch of my decorations, so I've got plenty to choose from. There they are. And actually, I think I want to do an acorn. So let's do one of these single acorns because I think they're so darn cute. I'm going to check to see if anybody has any questions in just a second. So if there's something you want to say, please write it in the comments and I'll check in just a minute. Now in the Fruitful Blessings set, you do have a stamp, a tiny stamp that says "Hello Friend," and it just barely fits on that little tag from the Tricks and Treats die set. So you can just about make it on there. If I moved it over a tiny bit more, I might have gotten the end of that D, but you do have that option, and I thought that was really cute. So for that one, I'm going to take my linen thread. I'm just going to grab about, I don't know, six inches or so. And I'll loop that around. It might be closer to 8 inches. And I'm just going to push that through the hole. There we go. All right, so there's my little sweet tag. Now, I want to be able to create a little cluster on that's going to hang on the front of my bag. And by the way, you know, if you wanted to glue any of these things down, you could certainly do that. So before I start punching holes in these things, I do want to sponge the edges because I always think that that's a much neater look. And clear the surface here. We have a little more room to work. Okay, so what I would do, and you could use a sponge dauber if you prefer, is I'm just going to go around and knock down that white that the die cuts leave behind. So this color is the wild wheat. Go ahead and do this one while I have it in my hand. You see how it has that white edge there, and then I can just come in and knock that down a little bit so it doesn't look so jumpy. There we go. And then I'll do the same on the oak leaves. Get in there. All right, and then my All right, hold on just a second. I've got somebody at my door. I'm going to turn the sound off for just a minute. I'll be okay. Sorry about that. I'm still having some work done here, so there might be some little bit of noise in the background. Okay, I think that's enough. Now for the acorns, I want to go a little bit darker. So I'm going to use the copper clay, and that is the same color that I used to paint the acorns with. So this is going to be a perfect match. Get on screen there so you can see what I'm doing. So there it is. I know they're so tiny. Here's another one. Let me zoom in real quick so you can see this one. So there it is with the white edge, and then just quickly come in with the ink. And there's the, oops, there's the little finished acorn. All right, so now we're going to build the cluster. So I'm going to start with the biggest piece first, which would be the pears. All right, and I already have a little hole already in the pear that I can use to string the linen thread through. But I'm going to need, even though there is a hole here on the acorns, I'm going to add another one. And I think I'm going to do it at just at the top of this leaf. Draw the other leaf. Actually, it might hang better if I do the other leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and come in right about there. Okay. And then I want to add a little bling. So this I think would be cute peeping out from underneath there. So I'm going to go ahead and go in the upper right leaf. Now let's grab a piece of the linen thread and see how this looks so far. So I'm just going to take about the same length and thread that through. So there's a little cluster with all these beautiful little things. And finally, I'm going to put a little acorn on the top. And for that, I'm just going to come right close to the center. Add that. There we go. So there's our little cluster of these beautiful fall symbols, and we've got a little bit of the shiny gold distressed paper showing through. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie that with a knot. So 1 and 2. And come back to my treat box. Move these things away. Excuse me. Now I have a choice. I can add this to a handle, but I think I want to go right in the center. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to punch a hole right about there. Okay, and now I can thread one of those tails through, bring it around and tie a bow. Now, I'm debating whether to tie a knot or just a bow. I think I want to tie just a bow because I think I'd like this to be removable. So I'm just going to tie a simple bow for now. And then I'm going to add my little tag that says "Hello Friend" and put that over here on the handle. So there it is. And I would trim those tails. Okay, so let me zoom you in so you can get a better look. So there's the little treat bag with all the decorations that can be reused as labels, so your the person that you're giving the treat bag to could you reuse those labels. Now, I think that these would make awesome placeholder settings on your Thanksgiving table. And so if you wanted to, you could cut a label and pop that on there with your guest's name. Okay, so everybody would have their own name. And then you could fill your treat bag. Now, I don't know, I mean, it really is a generous treat bag, so it'll hold quite a lot of things. But I happen to have some Ghirardelli chocolates here. So there's 4 of them, which would be a very generous serving. And you could pop those in there. Or maybe you make homemade cookies. Or maybe you've got something pumpkin pie for the for fall. So all sorts of things. So I hope that gives you some ideas. I'm going to have a lot more information about the upcoming class that you can sign up for, where you will get all, in the card kit, you'll get all the pieces that you need to create the bag, and you get the class for free with a a $35 purchase, and that purchase could be the bundle or both bundles that you would want to use to create this. So all that information will be in notes from Dandelion Cottage, and I will also put some of those links below. You will need to use a special host code to qualify, and I will post that as well. And I'm just going to check, see if there's any questions over here. Sandra says, who wouldn't want to receive that from a friend? Absolutely, yeah. Hey, Candy! Hello, hello. Good to see you. Candy isn't always able to make it during the daytime, so good to see you, Candy. glad you could tune in. And Sandra says, which set did the treat box come in? That's the Tricks or Treats. Linda's here. Who else? Linda says it's vintage looking. Oh, that's kind of cool. And Kelly says, beautiful. Thank you for sharing good tips too. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today. I'm so glad you could make it. I think this is really cute. And the Christmas and the Halloween ones are going to be just as cute and coming right up. So stay well, stay happy, stay creative. Don't forget to sign up for notes from Dandelion Cottage so you can stay notified of all the upcoming classes and workshops. And I will see you next time.